Today's video is about what it costs to live this life of full-time RV living and travel. So stay tuned.
So we're here in beautiful Sedona, Arizona. The sunset has already passed. We've got a really cool moon rising off in the distance. We've had about 10 days here, which has been fantastic, especially after all the busy and crazy and exciting time we had launching our school in Las Vegas, Nevada.
We're leaving tomorrow. It's 10 days in this gorgeous multi-million-dollar view location, completely free. We're doing a separate video on that and how our boondock experience went, along with some awesome footage, photos, video, and drone footage. So stay tuned for that. But today, let's talk about money before we lose the light.
That's right. And we're going to be able to compare this. It's this a year of travel for 2016, and we're going to compare it against 2015.
And it was exactly a year ago that we posted a blog post with an infographic. And in that infographic, we highlighted the high level of what our expenses were to live this lifestyle, because that is one of the big questions that we get a lot, is how much does it cost to live in an RV? And it's really a difficult question to answer because it's so different for everybody and there are so many variables. But we're doing our best to share what our expenses have been based on how we lived the life last year, which was about 50% more than the year before. So we're going to talk about that as well.
Now, when we're doing this comparison, we're not counting our payment on our RV, and we're also not counting our groceries and eating out. So these are things that are RV-related expenses. And we'll also tell you how far we traveled so you have a good gauge of that as well. So starting off with that, we traveled 24 states last year, and we compared that to previous year where we traveled 33 states.
But the previous year we were mostly on the East Coast, where the states are much smaller and much closer together. But in terms of our whole year of travel, we actually did over 45,000 miles. But that wasn't just in the RV.
That's a little misleading.
Well, yeah, but this is about our whole RV life and travel. I mean, our life isn't just about RVing. The majority of our life is RVing.
Yes.
But, you know, I think it's really important to share the whole picture so people can realize that you don't have to do all of your travel in your RV, even though last year we spent about 10 months in our RV and about 2 months out of the RV.
That's right.
So we did about 26,000 of those miles in air miles, which included a long-haul flight to Australia, back home to see my family and friends, because we hadn't been back in 3 years. But in terms of the RV life, it was really interesting. We did about 9,500 miles in the RV and about 9,500 miles driving, almost the same amount really, but combined just under 20,000 miles for RV and driving.
And that's traveling to 24 states compared to a lot of folks that might spend 13,000 miles a year just driving to and from work and some errands and stuff like that. So we did some good travel with that. And with those mileage, we can make sense to talk about the fuel expense. The fuel expense was almost exactly the same as the prior year at $4,400 or so. So that was a really comparable expense. The insurance rates we actually reduced from $2,000 to $1,700 for the year.
$2,100, I think it was. Yeah.
Right.
It was at least $300 we saved in insurance. And we'll be putting more of this detail in an infographic and blog post. I'll put the link down below so you can look at this in more detail. But this video is just to give you a general overview.
Yeah, and so another big expense in the RV lifestyle is where you stay in your RV. So we stayed about 90 days in our Thousand Trails campground network, which is about half of last year. So that definitely had impact on our finances. We also stayed about 129 days in private campgrounds and about 69 days in state and national parks and 33 days dry camping and boondocking.
And that included rest stops, Walmart, places like the Albuquerque Balloon Fiesta, staying at front of friends' houses, that kind of a thing. Definitely boondocking more, and I think we'll see even more of that when we do our recap on 2017. But that gives you the rough snapshot, about double the amount of nights in national and state parks in 2016 than the previous year. Half the amount in Thousand Trails, which is really what subsidizes our camping lifestyle and our camping expenses. So this year in 2017 we expect to be spending more time in that Thousand Trails network and saving money with that again. Those of you that know us know we spend a lot of time in that because of the financial benefits. So
speaking of that financial benefit, that's It changed from around 5,000 for the year to a little over 8,000 for the year. So that was where that impact was.
Yeah.
Another area that we had a big impact on the financial was in repairs and maintenance. The previous year we had a little less than $2,000 in repairs and maintenance. This year, in 2016, we had almost
over 6,000.
Over 6,000, almost $6,700 in out-of-pocket expenses for repairs and maintenance. And that wasn't a huge surprise either, because there were some things that we knew we were going to need to spend money on, meaning tires for the RV. That was over $3,000 just for the tires. We also did a suspension upgrade, which was around $1,400. We have a separate video about that, talking all about that, so we'll link to that below as well. And now that $6,700, that was out of pocket. It would have been thousands more if we didn't have our extended service contract, because they paid quite a bit as well.
Yeah, and that's going to be a whole separate video and blog post. But all up, we spent probably about $28,000 on our life of travel. And before you freak out and think that's a lot of money, remember that's for 2 people living full-time, traveling 24 states across the USA, including Hawaii, and of course Australia. So, you know, there was a lot of travel in there.
If you take out the vacation travel to Australia and Hawaii and back to Colorado, that drops down from $27,000 down to around $20,000. So that
just for the RVing travel.
That's just the RVing related travel.
Yeah.
And so that is still up about 50% from last year at 14.
Right, and we spent about 10 months in the RV and about 2 months out of the RV. And with our hotel stays, for example, when we were in Australia, we stayed a lot with friends and family, and we spent about 28 nights, I think, in hotels, and about 6 nights in hotels while our RV was being repaired. Again, that was covered by our extended service contract.
We're also creative with using points and mileage to pay for our rental cars and pay for hotel rooms too. So that's a whole other topic. We'll have to do a separate blog post and videos as well.
But it did subsidize our other travels. So just to recap, on campgrounds last year we spent just over $8,000. On fuel we spent just over $4,000.
And insurance for the RV was around $1,700.
RV and the Mini, actually.
Yeah, and the Mini. Yeah.
And our other travels came in at over $7,000. So, you know, we actually think that's pretty reasonable when you consider it was a really huge year. If you saw our recap of our year of travel video, you would have seen that we had a really big year of travel. Yeah. We have a really high value on travel. Remember, we sold our home. We sold those 2 cars we had in the garage and downsized and got that little Mini over there to be able to do this and to be able to live this life. And so that's where we choose to spend our time and money and energy. We know a lot of you travel probably a lot less expensively than that, and a lot of you may travel a lot more expensively than that, and some others fall somewhere in between. But it's all a personal choice, very personal journey. So.
Yeah, we hope you found this video helpful. We of course have much more detail in the blog post. We'll put a link for that in the comments below.
With a really cool infographic. And we'll link to last year's infographic and blog post as well, so you can compare the two. But both of those will give you a lot more detail, especially if you're researching this lifestyle and considering whether or not it's for you and whether or not it's affordable. It's different for everyone, but hopefully some of what we've shared has been helpful. And I think we're losing light now, so it's probably time to go. But we will be sharing more Sedona beautiful boondocking footage with you in another video. We always love hearing from you guys, so if you have any questions or comments, please put them down in the comment section below.
So if you liked the video, be sure to give us a thumbs up and subscribe, and we'll look forward to seeing you again soon.
Good night from us here in Sedona, Arizona.